Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to IT Skills channel. My name is Aiden. In today's video, we're going to take a look at an important component regarding Veeam, which is adding external storage or cloud storage using either AWS or Azure. In this case, we're going to use Azure as our cloud provider for the storage solution. Why do you want to do that? Well, in Veeam, you can have your local storage and it will work fine for you. But if you wanted to have an extra redundancy, maybe you want to allocate more storage, then the cloud storage option is the best way to go. What I mean by the cloud storage is you can subscribe to a cloud storage account for up to however many terabytes you want, and that's what we're gonna do in this video. I'm simply gonna subscribe for 5 terabytes of blob storage so I can store my data there. So without further ado, let's get started. As you can see here, I'm going to the Azure portal right now. I'm creating a storage account, and in this video is simply going through the steps of creating a storage account. Obviously, this is not the full video. The full video was about 40 minutes, so I broke it down into half, and I'm hoping that you guys can see it here. So you can see I'm selecting my storage account. It's looking pretty decent over here, and so what I'm doing right now is ultimately selecting my option for the storage account and recovery points and so forth, whether I can allow self-delete or not. And so this is pretty important, and so once I'm happy with the selection, I can just go ahead and hit next for the encryption portion. And here is simply which encryption do you want. We're gonna go with the default option for everything. The reason is because Microsoft Azure blob storage or file storage encryption option, the default option is what we want. We don't want any advanced encryption. We're not going to do any tagging or anything else, and we're going to hit basically next for tagging. And this is just again a different type of encryption that Microsoft has. Now we're going to review. This is what we're doing ultimately. So we're creating a storage account, we're putting on the ECUS, and then we're going to hit create. And it's going to go ahead to start provisioning the storage account in our tenant. This is going to take some time, so to save some time on the video, I'm going to have to fast forward on this video, so that way you don't end up waiting for a long time. So we're going to save some time by fast forwarding it. We'll resume once it's ready. So look and see here, it's completed now. Next, we're gonna go ahead and create a container for the storage. So we need to create a container because without container, then this is gonna be just a shell. So we need to create what type of storage, we want to take advantage of. We want to take advantage of file storage, blob storage, and so we're gonna do blob storage. So I'm just gonna name it now. Just call it simple, like I teach skills. And the naming is pretty important, so you can't have any underscore, any uppercase. You have to make it all lowercase. And so the naming is very serious when it comes to Azure, and so you almost have to apply like a Linux type of naming format. So you can see here I'm just calling mine IT Skills Veeam Backup. I'm gonna hit create. This is gonna be blob, so I'm just gonna put a blob in the end because that way I can distinguish it later on if I create more storage account. So I'm just gonna, under the advanced, this is just the encryption stuff, so we're not gonna select anything. We're just gonna keep it default and hit create. Right now it's created already, super simple. Under the storage, all we need to do is grab our storage access key, and I'm not gonna show you the access key obviously, but we're gonna go ahead, go to backup infrastructure. We're going to go to backup repository, and we're going to add a repository. This is where we're going to add the Azure cloud storage, and then we're going to choose the backup type we want. So it's actually going to be object storage. So that's what we're going to choose, and it's going to be Azure storage. That's what we're going to choose here. And from here on, we're going to do Azure blob storage, which is what we created earlier, and I'm going to name it something that's gonna make sense for me because I am the one that's gonna be administrating this. I need to know what it's called, so otherwise I'll get confused, or you want to make sure you make it simple for you when you later on down the road you're storing data in here. So I'm just going to call it IT Skills Blob, Azure Blob. That makes sense for me. I'm going to hit next. Here is the credential type. This is the Veeam credential using the domain. Oh, actually, this is going to be the Azure credential, sorry, which is where you need to actually supply the storage access key. I'm going to copy and paste it basically. We need to get first of all the storage account name, and then we're going to put in the shared key. I'm just grabbing it real quick from another window. I'm going to paste it in now. This key do not share with anyone else, or the account name is very important. I'm just going to call it IT Skills or IT Blob Storage. And it's gonna see here Azure Global Standard. It's fine, everything is good. It's gonna ask me to choose my mode. I'm just gonna do direct. I don't have a through to a gateway. Through in a gateway. I'm just gonna do the default action right now, the direct method. And here the folder, I created a folder already. It's just called a new folder. Probably need to come up with a better folder, but I'm gonna create another folder again. New folder. I'm just gonna call it Veeam. Actually, I'm gonna create a folder called Veeam Storage. It's gonna be disaster recovery. That's the plan for this. So Veeam Storage DR Backup. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put our backups there. And then we're gonna limit the backup to 5 terabyte. And because the reason that is because I don't want to pay a lot of money for the storage. I am doing this after all for a home lab slash, a small non-profit organization. So I don't want to accrue more cost for it. So I want to make sure I save money, which is why we're gonna do something super less confusing, and we won't be using more than 5 terabyte. We shouldn't be, at least. If we do, then we must be growing then. So I'm gonna hit next once I'm ready. So it's not gonna allow me to add the storage blob now because I select a soft delete. So it needs me to remove the soft delete option. If the soft delete is enabled, then Azure does not work like that. So we need to remove that, otherwise we won't be able to do it. So I just removed the soft delete where it says enable soft delete for the blob. And so I just removed that. I'm gonna hit save. And then I also will remove enable soft delete for the container. Both of them will be removed, so I won't have any soft delete for it. And now we will go back to the Veeam console, and then we're gonna hit OK to see if we can continue. So it's basically telling us to disable. We did that. We're gonna hit next. It's now happy. Now we're gonna specify where we're gonna put our cache. So I'm gonna put it in under my 4 terabytes over here, and I'm just gonna click OK. It's fine the way it is. If I wanted to go, browse to it more, I will do that. But I'm just call a new Veeam Backup Blob or cache in this case. You see, my naming is just simple to make it easier for me later on. You might have to do the same thing. We're gonna leave all the options selected, and we're gonna hit yes for it to create a new cache folder for all backups, and we're gonna hit yes for this. If you don't want to do this, you can hit no. And you can see here it's gonna go ahead, check all the mountain service. Now it's gonna go ahead and apply the new Veeam storage repository with the form of Azure Blob Storage. You can see it's trying to do that. We'll wait, we'll fast forward the video. We'll come back when it's ready. And it's ready. Now we're gonna hit next. And we're gonna hit, this is the summary of our new blob, the size, everything else. We're gonna hit finish. And that's how you go ahead, create a blob storage with a direct access to Microsoft Azure. And now our Veeam have two storage repository, one 4 terabyte, one 5 terabyte with Azure. And now we can choose to back up our data to either Azure or our local storage. So that is pretty much it. Now we're gonna actually perform one initial backup to Azure Blob, and then we will see, you guys can see how it's done, and we'll go proceed. So yeah, now we're gonna go next. We're gonna go to the inventory, the home page actually, and we're gonna go ahead. This is the two backup repository we have, and then this is where we basically, we're gonna go to now we're gonna add or remove a backup from local to Azure. That's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go ahead and actually disable that local DC1 backup that's currently storing on the local drive, and we're gonna recreate it. We're gonna delete it actually, or we can actually edit it. So let's just go ahead next. Now we're gonna go ahead, go back actually, and then here is storage repository. We're gonna choose Azure Blob Storage. We're gonna say, create new. It's gonna want it to do, it's gonna want us to do something with the existing backup. So we need to do something with it. We're just gonna hit yes. And so that's fine. If we weren't sure about this, then we need to do some testing on a non-important system. So this is fine. This is definitely, it's fine. Now we're gonna do our backup every day at 5 p.m. or we can change the time if we want to. So, and we're gonna hit apply if we're ready. We're doing 11 a.m. every day, and then we're gonna, if we want to, we can change it to p.m. because we need to do it at p.m. actually, because a.m. is not good time. Sometimes I am using my network for work, so I don't want it to slow it down. So I'm gonna hit finish. Now I'm gonna enable the backup job back on. It's gonna be enabling it. Now it should start backing up because I set it to start backing up immediately after I'm done. So it's gonna start backing up now. It's gonna take some time, but we're gonna fast forward again. That's the magical fast forward, and then we're gonna come back when it's done. Now it's processing the building of the backup, and so again we just have to be patiently waiting. When you do any type of backup, depending on how big your drive is, what you're backing up, how important it is, do it at night when you don't get interrupted, network is not super congested, and be patient. That's the most important thing, anything in IT. If you are kind of wanted to do the same thing I'm doing, building a lab, be patient. Patience is the most important thing. Without patience, you'll be surprised, you'll be disappointed, you probably will give up. Don't get impatient and have that perseverance. You need to have perseverance so you can complete what you need to complete. So yeah, like good news about IT in the modern era right now is everything is learnable. You can learn anything you want to learn. You can do anything you want to do. I'm running this server on my Intel NUC, and you can see that, and all this is just nice. And back in the days, you probably have to have a data center level hardware. Now you don't have to do that. Alright, at last the backup is completed successfully, and that's what we wanted to see. So you can see now that is ultimately what we had to do. It says it took about 6 minutes, but it didn't take that. It would take about 10 minutes. So you have to be patient with it. Still nothing, because my computer is roughly brand new. I didn't put a lot of files in there, and this is the folder of my blob storage. I call it under backup, and it's called Veeam Storage Backup, and this is basically the data of the backup under Azure. So we're gonna do a future video where we can actually cover from this backup, like what happens we want to do data restore, how also we're gonna try to access the backup content. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the day.